Hello, everybody. I am Kristen Iris Johnson, and I am here to speak with Miss Anya Day, who I worked with her on her book. So I am a film producer, a writer, and a coach who works with Black creatives. And with Black writers, I do story development for book and script. So helping with story, helping with character, helping to make sure that it's all coming together and that the book is really the best project that you can create and put out into the world. So Anya Day worked with me. I will have her introduce herself and her book and tell us a little bit about it.
Hi, I am Anya Day. I am in the final stages of finalizing my manuscript. No today does not mean no tomorrow, which is my book about how to not allow other people to squash your dreams, basically. How to succeed in life when everyone is telling you no. So it's about my overcoming some personal and professional challenges I have in terms of how I got to where I am today.
Yes. All right. And having worked a little bit with you on it, one of the things that about the structure is that you have like part memoir, part like story, and then part like, here's the wisdom, here's what you can take from it, which is pretty cool because it allows people to see you and see your experience and to see themselves in you, but to also get some of that guidance, that wisdom that you have for them. So I'm very excited about it and what you're putting out in the world. So my first question for you really is, what made you want to work with me? You know, as someone, as me who does story development, what is it that made you want to work with me?
So I would say the biggest thing was we were in a class together and you would always have creative ideas. I never really considered myself a creative. I had this thing inside of me where I wanted to be able to put my story out in order to help other people, but I never really considered myself a creative. So this has been my path to accepting who I really am, which is now I'm saying, yes, I am a creative. What I loved about Kristen is it's almost as if you play the devil's advocate. You always provided a unique perspective to whatever the discussion points were. And I'm always looking for somebody to give that unique perspective in terms of making sure that I'm considering all angles.
Okay. All right. So when it came to your book, and so we have like why you want to work with me. Like, what specifically were you looking for in working with me? Because we did like the story development package that I have. So what was it that you were looking for to get out of that?
So I was looking for somebody to take what was inside of my brain and make it make sense on paper. So when I first started going down the path, my idea of an outline where I had these chapters and I literally had a bunch of bullets of things I knew I wanted to include, but they didn't have much structure. And I think what you did was you helped for me to find that right balance in terms of balancing the memoir aspects with the pearls of wisdoms, or the Anya's antidotes, as I like to call them, in terms of what is it that I need to share with the reader, because I'm not Michelle Obama. Nobody knows necessarily who I am. So what is the reader going to get out of that? And I think that's what you really helped me with.
Okay, that was actually going to be my next question, was like, what did you actually get out of it? But I do remember that you were like, I have these ideas and I have all these things, but I'm not sure how to like put it together into the book. And so I do remember us working on that, and like where it went from the outline, the original outline, to like when you revised it and kind of got it together, was like, it was much more cohesive. And I feel like it was really going to bring forward, you know, your message and what it is that you wanted to share and guide people kind of like on this journey for themselves. So I think it like the way it transformed from beginning to end was really cool to witness on my end. You know?
Yeah. And I think to me, because this was never about me, I never really wanted to write a book. And when I made the decision to do it, it still wasn't for me just to say I'm an author. To me, it's about what can I impart into somebody else's lives to help. Maybe they take a different path, or maybe they consider other things so that they won't make some of the same mistakes I did. Or it's almost like, what would you tell your 15-year-old self?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that I love about my daytime job, is I always get to mentor and lead and guide other people. And I felt like this work of art that I was producing and that you helped me to formulate was another method for me to do it from a personal perspective in terms of just some of the things that I had encountered throughout my life.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so my last question, maybe my last question, but my last question is there anything about working with me that surprised you? And if so, what was it?
I was actually surprised that you like what I came up with. And I know that sounds weird, but in the short time that I knew you, I've really come to respect your opinion. And I was happy about the raw feedback and the honest, constructive feedback. But then when I got something back that said, this is really good, it's really moving in the right direction, it gave me more confidence in myself that, okay, yes, you're doing this for the right reason. Yes, you can appeal to somebody, you have an audience. And I think you helped to sort of just bring that out of me. And not that I'm normally a very confident person, so it's not, but a part of it, but this isn't my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So it was the fact that somebody who I trusted in this field felt like I was moving in the right direction. It helped to give me confidence. And I hate to say, initially, yes, it was surprising. But also surprising that, because at one point I was ready to just say, maybe I shouldn't do this because I don't know if I can make this work. But you really helped to say, no, you got it. It's in your brain. You could tell it was in my brain, but it was just helpful for you to pull it out and make it make sense. If that makes sense.
It does. This is actually also really interesting for me to hear because I wasn't like, I didn't have like an answer in my head that I was expecting. I was just like, I wonder what she's going to say. And so I definitely wasn't expecting you to say that. So I'm glad that getting the feedback gave you that confidence, because what you're putting out is going to be helpful for people. It's powerful. Your story is powerful. And that's what I want to bring more people like you, more of our stories, into the world, whether it's, in your case, like memoir and nonfiction, or whether it's fiction, whatever it is, our voices are really important, and for other people to see and hear that and see themselves in us, so being able to help bring that into the world, and knowing that you didn't you're going, never mind, I'm just not going to do this. Knowing that that I pulled you back from that,
yes.
To help no, you can go forward with this. That's really that's really good to hear, and especially because I know you said earlier, you didn't think of yourself as a creative. And when we met in person, before we even started working together, I remember you saying, well, I'm not really a writer. And I'm like, you're literally writing a book right now. What do you mean you're not a writer? You are actually a writer. You are writing. And you're like, I guess I am a writer. Yes, Anya, you're a writer. I love that you kind of had that light bulb moment. I'm like, oh, there are a lot of her out there. There's a lot of people like you. Were like, I'm not really a writer. I'm like, what? You've written 3 screenplays. You're a writer. And it's getting people out of this idea of that a writer looks a certain way, or that they don't count. It's it may be outside of your comfort zone, but you can do it. And what you have to say is very meaningful, and it needs to be out in the world. So I'm really glad that we got to work together, and thank you for coming on and sharing about your experience working with me.
Yes, thank you. And I really appreciate the gifts and talents that you have to offer. I look forward to working with you in the future, because this will not be my first and only project. So I'm excited.
Yes.
And good luck to you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, now also share if you have any information about your book, pre-order, or anything like that, the release date, anything?
Yes, so the release date will be first quarter, towards the end of the first quarter 2020, the end of March, early April 2020. The pre-release is not up yet, but you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at It's Anya Day, ITSANYADAY, to get additional information and join my mailing list.
Excellent. And I will put a link in the description with this video.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.